Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond Entrepreneur. I'm so excited for today's episode. I have Bob Mount here joining us today, and he's going to tell us all about his journey with starting his own business in dentistry. Welcome, Bob. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. I hear you have a very inspiring story with the business that you built, especially here in Chiefland.
I think it is. I was very happy with it. I still miss it, but yes, it was a wonderful experience being here and being in this community and starting off with no patients. It was wonderful.
Wow. I guess let's start at the beginning. What first inspired you to go into dentistry?
I had some friends I went to college with who were dentists, and my best friend was a dentist.
Hmm.
So I was deciding on medicine or dentistry, and I just focused on dentistry.
I love that. Where was your first practice at? Where did you first start at?
I started in Palm Harbor, which is in Pinellas County.
Okay.
I started there in 1977, and I left there to come up here in '84,
Hmm.
and never looked back.
Yeah, good decision made.
Yes, very good decision.
What what first inspired you or made you want to open up your own business? Have you ever done anything with opening any businesses before?
No, but I was a pharmacist first,
Okay.
and I worked for small drugstores, independent drugstores,
Hmm.
and that was kind of my goal when I went into pharmacy was to open up my own business. And then the world changed in the chain store age of Eckerd's and Walgreens and
Hmm.
every grocery store having a pharmacy. So I saw that there was a dead end street there. So then I got interested in dentistry, and then I wanted to be my own boss. That was
Yeah.
why. And that was a good place to be when I got into it. It's not today very much, but it was at those times. It was a great place to be for private practice.
Yeah, what made you choose Chiefland as a place that you wanted to open up a private practice?
The Swanee River.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Now, you said you started with no clientele, nothing like that. How did you build that for yourself?
Well, I started off, actually, I bought a practice from two of my best friends who had started the practice
Hmm.
and wanted me to venture in with them. I said, no, I don't want to go there. But then I decided that I wanted to be here, and they weren't really practicing very much like they were supposed to. So I said, why don't you sell me your practice? So I bought it. So I had a few patients,
Hmm.
but not very many.
Yeah.
And they had been in practice for about a year. So I bought it from them, and then I grew it by being here full time and getting involved in the community.
I gotcha. Now, taking over someone else's practice is a huge commitment. How did you navigate those first steps? Were there any major challenges that you came across?
None at all, really. They had a pretty good staff to start with, local people that knew everybody, and that helped me to meet people in the community. And then I became involved in many of the organizations in the community, and it worked out very well for me. Uh, like I say, I've never looked back and wish I'd gone back to down there.
Yeah.
I may not be as make as much money here as I would there, but I have a better life.
Yeah. Was um your vision, like, in the end, everything that you kind of hoped for when you were first starting out, especially with the community? It sounds like you were so involved and still are to this day. Would you say that's a valuable part of having a successful business?
I think it's invaluable, really. I really do. I got involved in the Chamber of Commerce. I got involved in the Rotary Club. I was at most everything in the community that was out here, and I met so many nice people, and they all were very accepting, and the community itself was just a wonderful place to be, and by being in those organizations, you networked with other people of like mind. So it was a wonderful experience, it really was.
How would you say networking um, plays a part in wanting to own your own business? Would you say that is also a really big part?
I do. I have seen people come and go, and those that did not get involved in the community did not, for the most part, do as well as those who got back. And I think this is more true in a small community like this
Mm-hmm.
than it is in a big place like where I was before.
I
It
bet.
wasn't that critical. But here, I think becoming part of it and participating, like in the fair
Mm-hmm.
and different things, everywhere you go, you meet people, and those people know somebody. And so you make friends, and hopefully they become your clients or your patients.
Yeah.
Uh, in my mind, there's no reason to come to a community like this unless you want to become involved.
I totally agree. Chiefland is a very community centered place. Not a lot of towns or communities are like Chiefland anymore. I've lived a little bit all over, and it's hard to find communities that are so involved with each other.
Yes, and if you watch the schools and stuff, the parents are very involved
Mm-hmm.
in the sports, in PTA, different things that the schools need. The parents are part of the community, and they chip in and do things. I've never seen anything like it. It's been a wonderful community to be in, and um, Rotary has been very good to me. I've been in Rotary. I joined before I came here, Rotary Club,
Mm-hmm.
because I enjoyed meeting people and doing things for the community. But when I got here, it was a whole different world.
Yeah.
It was much more involvement in the community. But we have a good group, and we've got two great Rotary clubs, and we get a lot done in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And both of us focus on children as our main goals.
I love that.
Yes, we do, and we focus on helping other things, but the kids are the biggest thing we enjoy.
I think that's so important because not only are you shaping young minds and kids and showing them how they could also help up and be influenced in that way, it also sets a very good precedent for the community itself about our values as a whole community.
I agree totally.
How I'm sure because you own the business for a very long time, what were some of your biggest challenges?
Staffing was one of the biggest challenges. Getting people that were when I first came here, there were no people that were really trained. There was one other dentist in town, and I was the second dentist, and there were no employees that you could hire that were already trained.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to hire and train everyone. And later, with the years, I was able to get people that came from Alachua, from Gainesville, from Steinhatchee, Cross City,
Mm-hmm.
different places that were willing to come here and work. I paid them well. I had great benefits, and I treated them well. And so I was able to get trained people, which
Yes.
then became much easier because when you get older, you don't really want to train people that much anymore.
Yes. I don't blame you.
I had 47 years doing it, and I really had trained a lot of people, and that was fun. But as you get older, you just want to have somebody who can step in and do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you noticed throughout your career the changes in people, especially people that you are looking to hire? Have you noticed a change in their attitude, or have people seem to become more driven to work, less driven? Have you noticed any change with that?
I personally haven't, but many of my friends in other businesses have. Um, I've been very fortunate. I've had long-term employees,
That's amazing.
28 years,
Wow.
some of them 12, 15.
Wow.
I treated them well, paid them well, gave them good benefits, and they respected me and they were good, so I didn't have a big change. That was the good news about it.
That just shows how much um, that with people being respected comes respect, and that builds loyalty. I think that's very important that a lot of younger minded individuals might be struggling with right now is understanding that, especially when you get, your first job, whether it's in service or fast food, it can easily build a bad relationship between boss and employee. And I feel like a lot of people can kind of keep that negative feeling even when they go towards their big girl big boy job. So I think that it's amazing that you've had such loyal employees, because I'm sure that takes a lot of stress off of you. I would be very stressed if I had to constantly look for new people to hire.
Absolutely. When I first started working at 14, I worked in a drugstore,
Mm.
independent drugstore, and the owner was the nicest person and treated me well. Even though I mopped the floors and cleaned the toilets, he was very nice to me.
Wow.
And I got promoted fast. And then all my other subsequent jobs, every employer I had was really, really good and kind.
I think
And
that's
they
very important.
respected me. So I got those values instilled in me when I was a young man working at a drugstore. And then as a pharmacist,
Hmm.
I had the same mentality with my people, and because we were assistant managers usually. And then I got into dentistry, and it just I was lucky that I had a really good staff
Hmm.
in the beginning,
Yeah.
and that helped me a lot. And when I got here and finally got the right people, it was great. And so I appreciate the early employers I had who instilled the right values in
Yeah.
me of respect and kindness. And I got constant raises when I was young because I put out 100%.
I think that's of incredible and rare value to find, especially when it's your own business. Obviously, you care because it's yours, and sometimes it definitely is hard finding people that also care, especially in this day and age when life is hard. I mean, life has always been hard, but life is hard. And sometimes people can definitely just be the people that just show up, clock in, clock out, and that's it. And I'm not a business owner myself, but I could see how frustrating that would be. So I think that those values that you were taught and shown young has contributed to a lot of your success, because then you saw, you learned, and then you applied. And I think that's an incredible value and a great lesson to learn, especially from a young age, starting so young at 14, working. That's incredible. Did have you always like had that drive in you? Like you enjoy working, you enjoy that
I
aspect?
I loved what I did. That's why I didn't retire until I was 76,
Wow.
75, 76, somewhere in there. And I loved what I did. And I was going to retire. My goal in college was to retire at 55.
Mhm.
And 55 came and went, and 60 came and went, 65. And I just finally had to quit because I was getting old and couldn't do it anymore physically. But yeah, I had those people that you just clocked in and clocked out, a few of them, but they never lasted a long time. I treated my patients with a lot of respect and care, and I really demanded the same of my employees.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think they get the feeling from you that you care.
Yes.
So by the same token, they care too. And so
Absolutely.
that's why our patients were like family, and our staff was like family. We all got along really well, most all the time, with few exceptions. And it was like a family, having staff that we all thought alike, we all respected each other.
Mhm.
That was wonderful.
that that sounds like the dream of, like, it sounds like you hit the lottery with this, and that's incredible. And I wish every business could come together and unify in such a beautiful way, because it makes everything stronger. And I think especially in Chiefland, there's so many opportunities for that as well, because I mean, with small town, everybody knows everyone, and that builds strength when everyone kind of works together like that. And I just absolutely, I think that's very powerful for those who maybe want to start a business or just kind of feeling stuck. What's what's one of your most proud accomplishments or experiences throughout your journey?
I've had a lot, to be truthful. I guess one of the early ones that meant a lot to me and has always is in 1987. I came here in 84. In 87, I was a member of Alachua County Dental Society, and they presented me with the first ever um achievement award.
Wow, that's incredible.
And they've only given one out since then that I know of.
That's incredible.
And that's because I worked in the community so much to get fluoride in the schools and that
Yeah.
stuff. I worked on the county health advisory board. I was very involved, and the word got out over there, and they presented that award to me to my surprise,
That's
and it had never been given
amazing.
out before. So that was probably one of my crowning
Yeah.
things. Yes, but
That is such an
I was
accomplishment.
president of the Rotary Club 3 times
Mhm.
and president of the Chamber of Commerce for 2 years. Those were all, we did a lot of things when I was involved in those. But I guess the Outstanding Citizen Award or Outstanding Dentist Award it was
Yeah.
probably my crowning thing.
That's incredible,
Yeah.
especially for being the first one too.
First one
That's an
ever.
Did they give you like a little like
They
like
gave me a
plaque?
plaque, yeah.
Where is the plaque? I gotta know.
I don't know. When I sold my practice, I had it in the office.
Mhm.
And when I closed my office, I had so many plaques.
Oh, what you gonna
Yeah,
do?
they're in closets and everywhere else, but I don't know where they are.
That's incredible. With touching back on the dentistry, how important was patient experience? How did that play with your branding, your success, building more customer clientele? How important would you say that patient experience is?
I think it's the most important thing you can do. Um, from early on, I always wanted to make every patient's experience like a phenomenal experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I always heard that people will, if they like you, will tell 5 people. But if they don't like you, they'll tell many, many more.
Yep.
And so I always strive to make every patient's experience significantly uh, better. And if I had someone who was unhappy, I did everything I could to make them happy.
Mm-hmm. I love that. As a person that is afraid of the dentist, I had a very bad experience when I was little, and ever since then, I've been very scared.
Didn't we all?
I would love I would have loved that. I feel like I would have been very comfortable if I was a kid and I came in. If I grew up here, I'm sure I would have been in the dentist chair back there. But I agree. I think with if they had a good experience, they tell 5. If they had a negative, they tell much more. It's very true, especially with social media and
Oh,
Google reviews and all of that, anything, because it takes, I feel like people, when they have such a good experience, they don't want to take it the extra step. It's just something like, oh, I just love this place. But when they have a negative, they're kind of like, what can I do to
yeah.
let everybody know? So I think that's a really good point. For people that have a skill or passion, or if they're wanting to start a business, what kind of advice would you give them about starting that path for them?
It's like I told my son and my grandson. My grandson is now graduating from college. And I told them both, I said, find something that you enjoy doing
Mm-hmm.
and that can make you the kind of money you want to buy the toys you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because we always have the old saying, he who dies with the most toys wins.
Okay. I love that.
And that was what a friend of mine said, and we've always laughed about it. But um, not everybody wants the same thing out of life.
I agree. Yes.
And I loved the medical field. That's why I went into pharmacy. And I was encouraged to go into medicine by the teachers. And I said, no, I've had enough college. And I got out and worked. And I enjoyed pharmacy, but I saw like I said, I saw the handwriting on the wall. So I tell these people now, I really had never said, I have to go to work today. I loved going to work today. It didn't mean I didn't have a few patients. I go, oh God, Mrs. Jones is coming in today. But overall, and especially when you're established, if you have people you really don't want to treat, get rid of them.
Yeah.
When you're hungry and young, you got to take everybody.
Yes.
But when you get older and you're more established, you can say, I don't think this is the right place for you. So then every day is a good day.
Yeah.
You don't have anybody you dread seeing.
Yeah. I love that. To build yourself up to the point where you can do that. I agree, when you're young and you're just starting out, you kind of got to pick up anything that kind of comes along and shovel it in. But once you get to that certain point, it's almost like a reward. It's almost like, look, you made it.
Well, when I first came here and bought that practice from my two friends, we weren't quite of the like mind of doing the best you can on everybody you see.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw work that was not to my standards that they had done. So I redid it.
Wow.
I told the patients, I said, I'm not happy with this. I want to redo it for you at no charge. And I started off doing that. And I think that helps too, that you show the patient that you really do care about them.
Yeah.
But I'll say one thing, that when I was young in practice, I had a college classmate of mine who went on to dental school before me, and he practiced not too far from me. I'd go by his office and I'd stop in, and every time I stopped in his office, there were new people there, new employees. And I stopped by often. So finally I was sitting in his office one day, I said, Gerald, why you always have new people here? He said, oh, I don't pay them beans. They're a dime a dozen. Well, he didn't show his employees respect. They're a dime a dozen. I don't pay them anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes back to making your life easier when you have people who are familiar with your practice and you don't have to micromanage.
Yeah.
You walk in and you do dentistry, and the lady at the front desk, she does all the insurance and the scheduling, and your assistants know what they're doing, and everybody's doing their part. If somebody needs some help, somebody else jumps in to help them.
Mm-hmm.
So you're making everyone a team.
Yeah. It's always hard when everybody knows what they're doing and then something comes in and disrupts it, like a new person, and they have to learn everything, and it takes time and it takes patience, and it does disrupt the flow and the functionality of it as well.
Create stress.
Yes, absolutely. So to have people that that you can rely on, and I'm sure it was also a great experience for families. Someone comes in as a kid and they see the same receptionist and they see the same assistant as they get older and grow up. That really does make it that family. And I'm sure it provides a lot of security for patients as well, which is why it was so successful and why they kept coming back. And that also brings generational clients as well, because if you grew up and you loved your doctor or you loved your dentist, of course you're going to want your kids to go there one day.
And we were treating grandkids.
Wow.
Of my original patients.
Yeah, I bet that was really cool to see.
It was fun. And you knew their backgrounds. Around here you get to know it. They hunt, they fish, or whatever they do for fun. You get to know those kind of things. And so as they grow up, you saw them in high school and stuff, and then they got their own family, and they have their own kids, and you get this whole relationship building. Like you said, if the kids grew up in your practice and they're happy,
Yeah,
they're more likely to come back to you.
absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, it was multi generational, and I love that part of it. Uh, and after I retired, I had so many patients call me and ask me advice, and they tell me they miss me.
Yeah, I bet.
It was good.
Yeah, and that also, I'm sure that made you feel very fulfilled. Um, because that not only did the community, and the community still loves you, but it shows how much you matter. And I think that is such a powerful thing to feel and for others to see as well, because I think it just brings it back to that this is such a community focused place, and it truly is one of a kind in my opinion, because as places and towns just get bigger and more populated, and you kind of don't have a choice but to lose that community feeling just because of the growth. It's hard. It's not that hard to get 100 people together, but to get 5,000 people together, it's a lot harder. um, now that you've stepped back and you're living in retirement and loving it, how would you determine success now looking back? Does your viewpoint change at all?
No, it really hasn't. I'm glad I retired, uh, but I do miss the dentistry and I miss the people,
Yeah.
the relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really think the moving here was fantastic because of the close knitness of the community. The community I was in was very small. We only had 3 dentists in the community when I got there.
Mm-hmm.
But 7.5 years later, we had 8 dentists.
Wow.
And now there's pages and pages in the phone
Yes.
book. And that little community was cow pastures and orange groves.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet you can't find an orange tree. And I bet you can't find a cow pasture anymore.
Yeah.
Everything is
Yep.
so big and so it's been enveloped by the surrounding communities.
Mm-hmm.
Clearwater and stuff have enveloped them. Whereas here, I think we've still got some time left, and I see the surrounding areas, Cross City, Old Town, Trenton, Bell, they've grown and we've grown, but the attitudes haven't changed that much.
Yes. And I think that's so important. And that's what makes this area such a wonderful place to be. I think that a lot of people, it's so easy to be negative now, and I think people unfortunately have lost kindness in a lot of ways. And so I think especially growing up in an environment like this, it's so important because it still teaches you these valuable features and valuable actions that a lot of the rest of the world has lost. And especially with um, social media, so it can have a wonderful and incredible impact, or it can be extremely negative.
Absolutely.
If you were just starting your business now, would you do it with with social media, with all of that stuff? Do you think it would be easier to start a business now, or do you think when you started it that was a better time?
I think that was a better time. Um, Most all my friends have been retired,
Mhm.
and we talk that we had the good days. Now it's so commercialized, and you've got chain dentistry, Aspen Dental, Coast Dental, so many other big chains that are nationwide, and they hire people to work for them. All they have to do is come in and go home. They don't have any responsibilities. Uh, Whereas I learned it all. You don't learn business in school. You don't learn to be kind to people. You learn it through practice. And I was blessed to have those good days. Um, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s were all good. It's gotten a little harder today, but by the same token, I think about it. if I was raised today, I would know more about those things. I don't do social media.
Mhm.
I had to open a Facebook account to open my commercial account
Mhm.
for my
Yep.
office. But that's why I did, but I've never looked at Facebook once in my life. I don't,
It's not that. It's not all that.
but you learn all that stuff, when you see it. And I guess if you grow up with it, then it's easier to acclimate to it.
Yes.
But if you're like me, when I talk to my son, and he's 60 years old, uh, he gets frustrated trying to talk to me about social media. And I say, cut and paste. I say, well, I have no clue what you're talking about. But I know my grandson, since he's been 3 or 4 years old, has had computers and stuff,
Yep.
and and I can see where if you grow up that way, it's okay. But we grew up with, we didn't have the abacus, but we had calculators. We had slide rules.
Mhm.
People say, "What's a slide rule?"
Never heard of it.
I know, I know. Calculators. We didn't have calculators,
Oh.
but we had those later on in life,
Yeah.
and we had typewriters. You can't find a typewriter today if you want one.
No, but I think they're so cool looking.
Well, I grew up with a manual, long stroke, manual Remingtons, and when I was a pharmacist, we typed labels and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And then they came out with the electric typewriter. Oh my God! And then now, of course, the computer does it all.
Yep. I mean, it does everything, and everything now is made to be simplified, but I feel like sometimes when they try to like simplify things, it's just way harder. I'm only 22 and I have trouble using some social media and stuff like that because I'm just like, what? There's too much. It's too overwhelming. I'm only on Instagram and Facebook. That's it. I'm not on anything else because I'm like, nope, I'm okay because everything changes and then they add new things to everything and then so I get not wanting to be on the social media. I don't blame you
But
at
Donald
all.
Trump is my age, and
Mhm.
Donald Trump he's on Twitter, he's on Truth Social. He started his own media thing.
Yes.
So I guess anybody can learn.
Yes. He's also been exposed to media for a lot longer though. So I'll give him that credit is that I'm sure he's been kind of forced to learn the media side of
Yeah.
things. So he's probably very well versed and has been for a while now probably if I had to guess, but he is very present on social media all the time actually.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's impressive when you think about
I've
it.
never seen it, but I've heard about it.
He does make posts all the time.
I know, probably constantly.
Yes, if I had my notifications on and get a text alert every time he posts, I think my phone would probably just be going off all day throughout the
burn
day.
up. Yeah.
It would. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on today and talking with me and sharing your experience and your success. And I think you've built an incredible job not only for the community, but you really have brought so many people together. And yeah, I just thank you so much for coming on. And for those who are watching, I will see you guys next week. Y'all have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.